Hi guys. Let me get everything organized and set up here so we can see everything. Make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. So hello again, it's Kimmie with Kraftin Kimmie Stamps, and thanks for joining me this afternoon for Kraftin with Kimmie Live. I'm excited about this one because we're going to be using this winter stamp set called Snow Buddies. I know some of you have it already, and the images are by artist Cheryl Grant. She does some fantastic images for us, and these ones are our new snowmen. So we've got a snowman with Lexi, and they're cuddling up there, and then this is the one that we're going to be using today in today's card. And it's the snowman, and there's a pile of snowballs, and looks like he's juggling some snowballs, and his little furry friend there that's giving him a hand. So we're going to, hi Heidi, we're gonna do a little bit of coloring. If you purchased the supplies for the kit, you'll have those handy. I sent those out when you originally ordered them, and so you should have had them in lots of time. Hi, Lori. Hi, Heidi. I think I saw Alexis there, too. I gotta move this over to make sure you can see. I see you. I think Alexis is driving, actually. Aren't you on your way here? Ready to color. Lori's ready to color. Good job. So I posted in the Kraftin with Kimmie Live Facebook event page the colors that I was going to be using. You can use, you're just walking to the car? Okay. So don't be watching while you're driving, Alexis. So you can use whatever colors you like. I just posted the colors that I used that went with the paper that we're going to be using, which is this paper here. So we've got a craft card base, and then these papers are by Bo Bunny, and it's from a line called Snow Day. And I think Martha just popped in too. And this cardstock, I don't know if you use Basil cardstock, but this is the Basil. It's a special, it's like a spark, it's got a shimmer to it, and this particular color is called Sparkle, and it's one of my favorites. So, and it goes nicely with the Bo Bunny papers, so we're going to use those. Hiya, Kim. Hiya, Martha. So what I want you to do, if you haven't done it already, we're going to use this snowman stamp right here. And if you haven't figured it out already, the piece that I sent you is the sparkle, and it's going to mat onto the sparkle. So you can either stamp the image on a, like a full sheet of Copic Express it or whatever paper you use, and then cut it down, or you can cut it down. What I did was I cut pieces the size that I needed that would fit in here, and then stamp them. And so the size that you need is 3.5 by 3 3/4. So that's the size of the main image layer that you're going to use. So now the markers that I told you that I used, they were listed on the event page. I also mentioned a Copic multi-liner. I have a few different sizes. This one that I'm going to use is the 0.2. And what I'm going to do, I've already colored it up once so you can see, but what I did was I just drew in a snow line on either side of the image just to sort of ground him. So I'm going to do that now. So you can do the same. You can start from here and sort of do like a little bit of a wavy line so it looks like a, snow drift, and I do one continuous line as opposed to like a sketchy line. And so the multi-liners are great because you can use your Copic markers with them and they won't bleed or anything. So now let's start with, let's see, I usually leave like the snow and the background to last. So we'll do the other pieces first. So let's start with the nose. So hopefully you can see these. Let me move them. Oh, I apologize for the way my hands look. They're all inky and messy and no nail polish because I've been busy doing lots of Christmas goodies. So what we're gonna use for the nose, I used YR12, YR14, and then just a little bit of E35 for shadow. So we'll take the YR12. And when I know that there's going to be light on the top side of the carrot there, I usually start at the bottom and flick towards the top with the YR12. Doesn't have to be complete, but then I go to the YR14 and add the darker color. And then I might go back with the YR12 to sort of blend it all together. And then the E35 just to add a little bit more at the bottom. It's not too much difference. It's not too dark, but it just adds a little bit of depth to the nose. And you can see I went outside the line there, so don't pay attention to that. You always use your blender for that. So what I did, I took the colors from, this is the Snow Day by Bo Bunny paper. So I took a lot of the colors from that we'll be using. So for the hat and the scarf, I used Y23 and Y26 for the hat and the scarf. And I don't know, I may have even used a little bit of the E35 to go in with it too. We'll just see how it goes. So we've got the Y23. You're at lunch at work. Aw, sorry, Heidi. You can play along later, right? Hopefully. So I'm going to start with the brim or the fold of the hat. Start over here by the little doggy's nose. And same over here. And flick over to the middle. Now it's obviously going to be darker down by the side of his head and lighter in the middle. So I'm just going to color maybe to halfway and then add the Y26, which is just a smidge darker. It's like a mustard color. And you can, if you want, you can add more of a definitive line there so it looks like a crease maybe, if you want. Now, like I've said many times before, I am not a true artist. I am not a fantastic colorer, but I like to play and I like to color and I like to play with friends. So that's what we're gonna do. So then back to Y23 and flick it more towards the middle, keeping it still light in the middle. And then you can take the E35. Thanks for the hearts, guys. Is that you, Heidi? And then add a little E35 just to darken it up a little bit more. See how there's a bit of a crease there, and of course below his nose is going to be shaded. Like that. That's you, Heidi. Thanks for the hearts. And then just shout or, type if you if you can't see something or if I move out of the frame or. So then I'm going back to the lightest color, which is the Y23, and then just blending it all together. So see how it looks darker at the sides there, and there might be a bit of a crease there. So then I'm going to do the inside part of the hat. I'm going to do the polka dots a different color. So using the Y23, I'm going to color in the main part of the hat with the Y23, and then use Y26 to shade sort of the, I'm thinking that my sun is going to come in from this angle, and so I'm going to, you're too kind, Martha. Too kind. So the shading is going to be over to the my left-hand side here. And then it's going to be, of course, a little darker where the fold is. So just adding some color there. And then you can take your lightest, which is the Y23 again, and sort of blend it. So you can still see the difference. And then E35 again, and just add a very tiny bit, just so it really shows where the fold is. Okay. So that's the yellow part for the hat, and then since we've got the yellows, we can do the scarf as well, which is how I colored it. You can color it differently if you like, or you can choose different colors. If you're not using the supplies that I provided, then you can use whatever colors work with the papers that you're going to use. But what I really like about this layout, I kept it mostly squares, and so you can use the layout with a lot of different stamps. Just change up the stamp, change up the papers, and I think we put at least I do, put too much pressure on ourselves as far as changing up layouts and new designs and new sketches, and I really think that if we stick to some of our favorite layouts, nobody would notice because they look totally different once you change up the image and the papers and the colors. That's one of my biggest hang-ups is, so I'm using E35 here. I'm going to change up the way I'm doing the colors just to see if it looks any different. So for the hat, I went Y23, Y26, and then added E35. This time I've done Y30 or Y23, and then I'm adding E35, just where I think the shading is going to be a little bit. And then I'm going to go in with the Y26, which is the mid color, and just see if it makes much of a difference. And it's going to be a little more shaded beside the little puppy dog here. There. And just I'm blending out the E35 a bit here. There. And then go back with the Y23 and sort of blend it all together again. Now some people like to, and I've said this before, some people like to blend their colors together so that there's not a real definitive change in color when you're coloring. And then other people like to keep, not to blend it, and so that the strokes really are visible. So it's really in what you prefer. Just how you prefer to color or how you like your images to look. And the great thing is that you can play around with them and practice and try it different ways. It doesn't have to look the same all the time. So how does that look? So that's all the yellow sections. So you've got the yellow hat and the yellow scarf. And now we're going to do the polka dots in the hat. You really like the scarf in those tones. Yeah, me too, Martha. And so we're going to use some darker, like a darker teal. So one of my favorite combinations is BG72. Can you see that? BG72, 75, and then a little bit of BG78 is really dark. Ooh, had to move that there. You see? So I like this teal combination. I use it a lot, and I find those colors in a lot of my favorite patterned papers. So we're going to start with BG72, and what we're doing we're doing the dots. So we're just going to flick a little bit to cover the dot lightly. And then with the hat, I'm going to flick from the middle. Because, of course, the pom-poms are gathered in the middle at the bottom there. So we're going to flick outwards. And then I'm also going to do the stripes in the puppy's scarf. So flick upwards to do the little stripe there. And then I'm also going to do, You're back again, Alexis? Aren't you driving yet? And then we're going to do the buttons as well. And so I always start, again, remember I said that I've got the light coming in this direction. So we're going to, looks great. Thank you very much. So we're going to start from the bottom left and flick towards the top right. And this is with the lightest color, which is BG72. So we're flicking up. And then we're going to go to the mid color, which is the BG75. Ooh, upside down. And just adding the polka dots are really tiny, so you don't need to add a whole lot to them. And same with the pom-pom. We're just going to flick outwards from the middle. And just a bit at the bottom for the stripes and the scarf. Again, they're really tiny images, so or really tiny sections, so you don't have to do a whole lot. And then the buttons, you're going to not quite cover the same area as you did with the BG72. So this is the mid color, the BG75. Okay. And then you can take the BG78, which is super, super dark. So you don't need a lot. You just barely touch where you're coloring, especially those little teeny polka dots. Color a little bit. You're going to do the very middle of your pom-pom, maybe across the bottom where it meets the hat, and then just a little tiny bit at the bottom of the stripes. Now you don't always have to use 3 different shades of the same color. You could just use 2, or you could just use 1, because the great thing about the Copic markers is that every time you color with the same color, it darkens 10%. So it gets 10% darker every time you color it in that particular section. So, but I'm just using these 3 because I have them. Thanks again for the hearts. Got some more. So we're going to go back to the BG72. I think those are close to the same color as the BG72. And just blend. I like to blend them all together. So I'm taking the lightest color. And again, this is just how I color. This is not how everyone colors. Some people color dark to light, or some people color like light to dark, and some people just color whatever. Fly by the seat of your pants. Okay, so I'm just blending it all out with the BG72, like that. Adding a little bit more, just flicking out, and see how it's shaded, like that. And you could, if you wanted it a little bit darker, you could go back with your darkest one and just add to the bottom, the BG78, just to make it just a little bit darker. So that's it for those colors. So we're done with those colors now. Let's do the, so I've used for the other parts of the scarf and the snowman's mittens, I've used BG11 and BG13. So they really match the sparkle paper that we're going to use, or they coordinate with. So starting with the BG11. You're going to do a base color of the mittens. Doesn't have to be anything really fancy because you're going to go over it again. So just do a quick coat, a quick layer of the BG11 on the mittens, and then also on the remaining sections of your scarf. Around his little neck there. Okay, and then the BG13, you're just going to add where you think it's going to be a little darker. So it's going to be a little darker around his stick arms there, and then around the bottom of the mitten. Maybe up there. Same over this side. Around the bottom of his mitten, because the sun's coming from above. Maybe some there. And then you're adding it also to the bottom of the scarf. Just flicking upwards with the very tip of your marker. There. And then go back with the BG11 and blend it out. and it'll look more, you can see there's a real difference in the colors before you go in and blend it out. And again, this is just what I did. You can choose to do however you like. And that's a great thing about coloring the images, is that, you know, yours is going to turn out differently than mine or than the next person that does it. And that's a great thing about the images too. You can color them up in any colors, and it's going to look different every time. So flicking out the scarf again, and I think I forgot to do the dark sections with the BG72, so I'm just going to go back and finish them out. There. I think that's it. And now we're going to move to the puppy dog. And for him, I used one of my favorite brown color combinations is the E40s, the E40 section. So I like 42, 43, 44. So I colored him originally when I colored him. I just used, oh no, I did use all three. I added, if I have the dark color, I usually use it just to add a very, very little bit. So we're going to use E42 first. And just like we've done before, just add a quick coat to, just a quick layer with the lightest color all over his little paws and his little head. And then the rest of his body here. And it's just it's a cute little image, but it's such a small image, or a small section to color, so you don't have to do a whole lot. So I'll go with the next darkest one, which is the E43, and shade a little bit around his head. So on his paws, but around his head, and then behind his head there. I'm not going to do a whole lot to his actual face, maybe just in his ears a bit. And then under his scarf. And to the left, because remember the sun's coming from this side. And then under, behind his bum there, on his legs. Okay, so that's the E43. And then take the E44, which is the darkest, and we're going to color his little nose with the darkest one, the E44. And then just add a little bit for shading around his head, behind the back of his head, above his scarf there. And then a little bit under his scarf, because of course there'll be shadow there. And down the side a little bit, and then under his bum. Now you can go back and with the E42 and blend some of it out if you find it a little too stark. The jump between the E43 and the E44 is quite a jump. So sometimes I like to go over with the lightest color, just so it doesn't look like so huge a difference. So see how it blends it out just a little bit more, so it's not so stark a difference. Can you see? I'm always not sure if my hand's in the way or my head's in the way. I got to get a better setup for my phone, for my periscopes. I've asked Santa for a better setup, so hopefully he'll come through. Have any of you asked for crafty gifts for Christmas? I'm always interested to see what everybody is asking for Christmas. Have I been good? Martha, how could you even ask? Of course I've been good. Don't you know me at all? For his arms, you've asked for Kimmie stamps. Good job, Lori. I think you got pre-ordered your package, didn't you? It already went out. So for the arms, of course, they're just, you know, twigs or branches. So I just grabbed I wanted to do a different brown than the puppy dog, so they didn't blend in together. So those were the E40. So I'm just going to use E34. You could use E31 or 33, 35 even. So I'm just using the one color to color between the snowman and his mitten there. So just a quick straight line, and then your hubby tucked it away. Good. You asked for the fuse tool. Yes, I have it. I haven't tried it out yet. I'm not sure how it works. So I think Alexis has used it. So when she's here tomorrow for our crafty Christmas event, I might get her to show me how to use it. So then I'm going to go back with the same color, the E34, and just color a little bit up by the, under the mitten. So it's a little shaded where the mitten is. You asked for the, Kiritaki brush pens. Yes, I would love to know. Would love to know how they are. I got a box of the, what are those watercolor markers? The brush watercolor markers. I haven't used them yet, but I have a box and I'm hoping to try them out tomorrow and to get the girls to help me figure out how to use those. So we'll see what works with those and try them out, and maybe I'll do some stuff and show you those next time. I've used R11 just for a very little bit on his cheek. Normally I use, when I'm using skin colors, if I'm going to be blending it out with skin tones, I'll use R20, but because he's just a white snowman and it's stark white underneath, I'm just going to use a little bit of R11 and just sort of make a little bit of a circle, but flicking out in where his cheeks go. Maybe darkening it up a little bit. And then we're going to use, now I said in the group when I listed the markers that you can use whatever grays you happen to have. I don't think that it's really going to matter with these papers. I think you could use warm tones, you could use the neutral or the toner grays or the cool grays. So I just grabbed what I had. And you can play around with them and get it as light or as dark as you want. So I'm using C1, C00, C1, C3. I also have T0, which I kind of like too. So what I'll do is I generally, when I'm coloring snow, is I'll start with the lightest one, which you can barely see, which is C00, and sort of sketch in where I know that I want the shade of the snow to be. So I'm going to start with the snowballs, and again, the light is coming from this direction, so I'm just going to have a little bit of shade at the bottom. You might not even be able to see this like on the video there with the camera because it's so light, but I know that's where I want a little bit of shading to be. And you can use more with the COO because it is so light. And I want it under the hat and by his, the side of his head there. I want it under his scarf. And then down the side of his scarf. And under the puppy and his scarf, of course. And then I'm not going to start all the way up here. I don't want to do an enclosed sort of area. So I'll start to the side here and make it a little wider as I go around the bottom. And actually, I think my COO is dying. So it's a good thing I got the TO out. So TO or WO or whatever you want to use. So, oh, that's better. So all the way around, and then you've got your snowballs. So you want to do a little bit at the bottom here and here, just at the bottom left, really. And then I don't think I'm going to do under here. I'm just going to leave it like that. So this is where I want it. So then I've used the 0, so the next step up is the 1. So whether it's C1 or W1 or T1, and just add a little bit more. And you can, the thing is, you can always make it darker, but you can't make it lighter really. You can't take it away. So that's why I always start with the light first. And just add a little bit more. And then the darkest one I'm going to use, you could have a C2 in between. I usually go every other number, but you could do C2 in between. I'm going to use a little bit of C3. So just a little bit in the darkest area. So right close to the hat here, right under the scarf. And right here under the puppy and the scarf. You could do a little under the buttons too if you wanted, like around the back half of it. A little bit here. And all the corners of the snowballs. Where they meet. And then I'm going to go back with the 0 and just sort of flick it out. And you can have it as dark or as light as you want. You'll notice when you, when you take a picture of it, it doesn't show up as much as, you know, when you're actually looking at it or coloring it. So sometimes if you're going to be photographing it and putting it on your blog or posting it in your online gallery or entering our challenges, if you're going to take pictures, sometimes it's almost better to do things a little bit deeper, a little bit darker, just so that they show up a little more. So I think that's all I'm going to do for the snow itself. But then with an image like this, that's mostly snow, I will often use something like, BG triple O or BG quadruple O sometimes is a nice one, and you can use it, do a couple different layers to make it a little bit darker, but I'll do like a glow sort of around the snowman so it really makes him pop. Really stands out a little bit more. So what I do is I'll take the BG triple O. It's a little bit darker than the BG quadruple O, but I want it to show up. So I start right against the snowman and flick outwards. And it's going to show up fairly lightly the first time. And I'll extend it out over the edge of the snowdrift there. And then I'm going to go all the way around just his, the main part of his body. Not around like his mittens and each snowball or anything like that. I'm just going to do around the main part of his body. And I just do the one layer at first so I see where it is I'm going and how it's going to look. And the great thing about flicking is that it starts darkest where you start your flick, and then it lightens a bit as it flicks out. Does that make sense? So it's not like a stark, thanks, Martha. So it's not really stark. Yeah, it makes sense. Good. Okay, I'm not just babbling. Well, I am, but, so that way it's not really stark, and it starts deep where you start your marker, and then it picks up at the end there. So that's what I've started out with, but I want to make it darker. See, in the frame or on the camera, you can't really even see that. So I'm going to start again and go over it. And like I said, with your Copic markers, the great thing about it, you don't have to have all the colors, although it's a wonderful thing to have, especially for Christmas. The more markers, the better. But you can have, you can get a lot of the same effects with less markers, just using the same marker to add depth and shading in certain areas with the same color. So I'm just going to go over it. This is the second time. And I'm just starting right against the image and flicking outwards, maybe a little bit farther this time. And it really makes the snow stand out. It doesn't look so flat. Okay, so can you see that anymore? Should I do it again, do you think? This is the original one I did. But I think the yellow looks a little bit darker on this one. I must have gone over it a couple more times. But see how the BG, you think it's perfect, Martha? Yeah, that's the BG 000. And I've done it 2 times around the frame, and I think that's what I did on that one too. Okay, so we're done coloring the main image. Now there's lots of things that you can do to finish off your card. Now you know that I've given you, okay, so this is I believe it's a 5.5 inch square in the craft cardstock. And I always like my cards to go this way as opposed to this way, just because I think they stand up better. They look nicer when they're standing up. And then we've used, this is Basil. It's like an off-white. I don't remember quite the color. It's a cream color. So that, usually when I do my layers, and again, you can do your layer, I'm sure everybody has their own way of doing it, but when I do my layers, they're usually 3/8 of an inch, or 3/8 or 3/16? 3/16 smaller than the last layer. So if I'm matting things. So what I did was made this 3/16 smaller, and then this is the patterned paper that I'm going to use. You probably, if you got the supplies, then you probably have figured this out for yourselves. So this is the layer that's going to go on here. So now you can use whatever adhesive you want. Normally I just use the sort of the rolls of tear double-sided sticky, but you have to take the time to peel the backs off and everything. So I found this scrapbook adhesives, I think it's by 3L, and I got this one free at an event that I went to, and I like it so much that I ordered some. So I love that it just rolls on exactly where you want it. You don't need a whole lot. And it comes just in little tiny sections. So you can use as little or as many as you like. And now this, for this card, I did not use distress inks. I think I like that these, you love that tape, Lori? Yeah, me too. It's great. It's great tape. I really like it. And you can get it in, like it comes on a card with 2. And I've been using this one for quite a while, since September, and I haven't used it up yet. And so these papers are a little vintagey to begin with. You can see the little, it looks like they may have been rubbed with sandpaper, like it's got that look to it. So I didn't use distress inks this time. I used distress inks on the last Crafting with Kimmie Live. This time I just left everything the way it comes. So then you got this this yellow piece. It's teal on one side and it's yellow on the other. And obviously we're going to be using the yellow. And so I think this was a 4.5 inch square that I cut. Now, some people like to have everything square, and yeah, they are really cute papers. It's one of my favorite lines by Bo Bunny, and it's like a year or 2 old, I think. I just love it. And so a lot of people like to have their designs really square, and they don't like anything wacky or crazy. But I like to turn things just slightly askew, just to make them a little different, and just for a little bit of visual interest. So what I did is I chose this sentiment here. There's Snow Buddy Like You. You could use Friends Warm the Heart or Snow Many Thanks. It just depends what you're going to be using your card for. I love that we can use them for friendship cards or thank you cards, or, you know, even a birthday card. There's Snow Buddy Like You. So that's what I stamped I stamped the sentiment right on the very bottom right. Now, you guys probably already know, if you use Copic markers, I always use the Memento ink. Now, whether you use the Tuxedo Black or you can use the Desert Sand if you wanted to do the no lines technique, but I've only found that Memento is the best one to use with Copic markers because it doesn't bleed. And then when I'm doing sentiments, I always use the VersaFine. It's such a great thick pigment ink that it does take a little bit longer to dry. Even though it says instant dry, it is not. But it really captures the fine details of your sentiment and really stamps out beautifully. So that's what I always use for the sentiment. And like I said, you can turn it this way. Now you'll notice that I have not stuck this side down yet. If you have, don't panic, but I haven't at this point. In fact, I'll take this away so that I don't accidentally do it. So we're going to attach the yellow layer, and you can do it however you like. If you want to attach it straight on, or if you want to do it a little askew like I am planning to, it's totally up to you. So I'm just going to turn it a little bit. Now, I'm not so crazy that I would turn it like this. That's not me either. I would keep it inside the other patterned paper and just turn it just a little bit to the right there. And so my sentiment is going down like that. Then I've given you this is the sparkle. It's got like a weave pattern to it. It's really pretty and it's nice and sparkly for wintry images. And so I'm going to attach the snowman image layer to the sparkle. Oh, hang on. Just like that, nothing too super fancy. And just center it. I usually eyeball everything just like that. And then it's going to go on here. I've got a couple things I want to show you. So what I've sent you, okay, so this is the way that it's going to end up looking. And I also, if you got the supplies, or you know, if you're going to use something else, you're going to need some sort of ribbon, or at least if you want to do it the way I did it, that we're going to use this ribbon. Now, what I've sent you is actually, it's seam binding ribbon, and I bought, where is it? I bought this gigantic 100-yard roll, because I have this plan that what I'm going to do when I get some time, is I want to dye a bunch of it in different colors and scrunch it up. You know, I really like the wrinkled seam binding ribbon look, but it comes as sort of like a little bit of an off-white. So I've sent everybody a length of the seam binding ribbon, just the way it is. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can tie ribbon or embellishments, different types of trim, where you want them on your card there. Give me just 1 second. Here we go. And so there's a couple of things. Now, some people are really good at tying bows. Some people, not so much. I really like the way that bows turn out when I use this tool. Now, I got it ages and ages and ages ago, and I've tried to get in touch with the company to see if I can carry them in the store, and I don't think they're in business anymore. They haven't responded the several times I've emailed them, so I don't know. It's called the Bow Easy. I think there may be similar tools out there. So there's different sizes of different bows that you can make. Now, if you want, you could just put your seam binding ribbon around the section where you want it and just tie it and be done with it. I like to use the, yeah, you have it too, Lori? It's a great tool. And there's different sizes, so you could make your bow this big, or you could make it this big. I think I'm going to go, I like this size. You could do the whole thing if you had a bigger ribbon, but okay, now it's been a while since I've used this tool, so don't judge me. Or I may have to do this a couple times, but I think you lay it over this way, and then you feed the end through here, and then you bring it up here, leaving this loop, and you go over top of the loop and pull it, and there's your bow. And you slip it off, and there's your perfect teeny tiny bow. Shall I do it again? In case you don't have it, well, in case you have the tool, but you haven't figured out how to use it yet. So I'm taking the very end of the seam binding ribbon, and I'm using this this size right here. I'm taking the end, I sort of eyeball it how much I want to use. So I'm going to use this much here, and I hold it with my thumb here, wind it around, but you want to make sure you have enough room at the top here that you can feed the end in. Pull it through the end. Oh man, I just don't have enough room. I'll push it down further. Here we go. Out the back, so you still have this loop here. It's fed through the top. Bring it up the bottom and pull it through the loop, and then tighten it. And you can pull either end to tighten it. Slide it off, and there's your teeny tiny cute bow. And you can adjust it and play with it to get it to look the way you want it to. And let me just find my, if you could see my craft room, you would die. Let me, I gotta get it cleaned up before the girls come tomorrow so they get somewhere to sit. So I just use my sharp scissors and cut the ends like that. And then what I like to do, because I like to keep it flat behind my card. So I figured that I want it right about here, because I want to have room to put my bow here. So I'm going to put it right there. And then what I'm going to do is flip it over and just tape the ends like this. So I'll just cut, so that also saves you ribbon. So you'll have more ribbon left for other projects. So I've just put a little bit of tape there. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And so it's stuck. Okay, so that's where it's going to go. And then I'm going to take my little bow and stick it there. So what I'll do now is I will put the main layer on the back of my, or on the front of my card base, which, as I said, was Kraft. And add my tape. And I want to make sure I get tape over top of the ribbon so that it sticks to my card base. And always double check, because how many times have you done this where you've put the card, upside down or on the wrong side or whatever. So just double check where you want the flap to be and attach it to the base like that. It's all good and secure. And then what I'm going to do, what I like to do with most of my cards, hi Kimmie, oh, it was Lisa Inky Wings is here. Hi Lisa. And what I like to do with most of my cards, because most of my cards have lots of layers, I always like to pop dot the main layer so it really grabs your attention. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add my pop dots to the back of the main layer here. I'm trying to do this quickly so I'm not taking up your entire day. So these are just inexpensive pop dots, foam squares. And I'm going to add this to all the paper patterned layers, and I'm going to put it to the side because I want, like I said, I want the bow to sit right there. Now with bows and different embellishments, I always use glue dots. So, because I know that they really stick. So if you have an adhesive that really sticks, use them for your flowers, your ribbon, your metal embellishments. And so I'm just going to stick that one there, and I know it's going to stay down really well. So those supplies came with your kit. You could also add a gem here, or something like a pearl or a snowflake or something. I also added in your kit, you'll also have received a wooden snowflake. So you can add that wherever you like. It might be a little too big for your bow, but I was thinking that I might put it right here in the corner. And for wood things, I generally use glossy accents. I don't know if that's the same for you guys, what adhesive you like for things like that. So I'm just going to put a little towards the middle because some of the snowflake is going to be hanging off the image. So I'm just going to put a little bit in the middle, and it will take a little while before it is completely stuck there. So then there's a couple of ways you can finish off your card. Now, sometimes with different images, depends on the image, depends how I want, what look I want for the card, is sometimes I'll take the Copic multi-liner, which we used earlier, and do some little sketches around the frame, like little squiggles or dots or stitch lines. So you could do that. Also, what I like to do with snow is to make it sparkly. So when I'm making a card with snow on it, there are a couple of different things that I like to use. This is the Wink of Stella clear brush pen, which is like just a glitter pen, and it's lots of fun. It's like a paintbrush to use. Also, if you want lots of sparkle, Stickles is a great one. My favorite for snow is Stardust. I think there are a couple of other different colors that you can use that are different colored glitter, I think. So this one is my favorite. It's Stardust. But if you're using Stickles, my suggestion is always to squirt a little bit of it on like something plastic, and then you take a paintbrush to pick it up, because I find it, if you put it straight on, it might be a little too thick. So that's what I like to do. Lisa likes the Wink of Stella. Yep. Lots of good glitter. The other thing you can use, what I like is sometimes I'll change things up and I'll use, this is the Stardust Sakura gel pen, and it's a lot like what's inside your Wink of Stella brush, but it's in a pen form. And so you can just draw it in where you want it, or what I like to sometimes do is I'll draw where I want it, and then because it's still wet, I'll smear it around a bit with my finger or dab it so it's not so stark, but it moves it around a bit. And so it moves the sparkle around a bit, and it doesn't look like just a straight line. So you can use dots, or you can use lines and then just smear them a bit with the tip of your finger. So there's lots that you can do with snow. There's so many different tools and different products you can use with to make snow. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to add these here, and I hope that you were able to, I didn't go too fast or anything, and you were able to color along and play along. And whether you used this stamp or whether you used our supplies or something else, it's just nice to play along with each other. So I'm going to do this again next month. I haven't decided on the date or the stamp set yet, but I was thinking of using, thank you for the hearts. I was thinking of using one of the new December release stamps, which are love and Valentine themed. So I was thinking of using one of those stamps, because that'll be, we'll do it in January, so we've got a little bit of time before everybody's thinking about making their Valentine cards. So when I've decided what stamp set we'll use, and if I'm going to send supplies out or not, I'll let you know, and I'll post it in the Crafty Friends group, and then I'll let you know a date and that sort of thing. Got to check the planner, check the agenda, and see what what we have, because we have so much going on with Kraftin Kimmie stamps. In the new year, we have so many gorgeous new stamp sets coming out. We're really excited. Thank you for the hearts. So this is our finished card featuring the Snow Buddies stamp set, which is in the shop right now, and so you're able to get that whenever you like. I will also mention, if you have been a Kraftin Kimmie customer for a long time, you will know that every year, at the end of the year, starting on Boxing Day, thank you, Lisa, on Boxing Day, we usually have a big sale. And in Canada, we have Boxing Week sales. I know in the US, there's big sales after Thanksgiving for Black Friday and Cyber Monday and everything. In Canada, we have Boxing Day sales and Boxing Week specials. So because I do my inventory at the end of the year, the less that I have to count, the better. So I will be having the Boxing Week sale starting on the 26th, as soon as I can get up in the morning and get everything put on sale, and it will run till the end of the year on December 31st. And so there will be usually almost everything in the store is on sale, up to 50% off, sometimes a little bit more. So if you haven't asked for Kraftin Kimmie stamps for Christmas, you can ask for some money in your stocking from Santa and use it for the sale, which will be coming up on December 26th. So I think that's all I have to tell you. I hope you enjoy sale. Yay! Everybody loves a sale. And like I said, if you haven't heard me say before, or if you didn't see it posted in the group, I've tried to mention it many times, but our rubber manufacturer is no longer manufacturing rubber. So any of our stamps that are in rubber, once they are sold out, they will not be restocked. So if there's a stamp set that you have in mind and it's on sale in the sale this next week, then that would be the time to scoop it up before it's gone. So all of our stamps going forward will be the awesome new photopolymer clear stamps, which if you've tried them, you will not go back. They are fantastic and we're so thrilled with them. And so, but any of the older ones will be discontinued. So sale, lots of stamps, and we'll do a new Kraftin with Kimmie live in January. So I'll let you know when that's coming up. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you had fun, and be sure to post your cards in the Crafty Friends group, because we'd love to see what you're working on, and we'd love to see your take on this design. So thanks again, and we'll see you again soon.